Jews, and it's all the fault of the Jew. That is what they say. They say Christianity is against our nature, the blood of the...
Okay, guys, this was a backstage that the Daily Wire crew did not a couple days ago, and I think it must have went under the radar, but there are some pretty funny clips that come out of this, and I wanted to talk about it. Now, you know, the Daily Wire has been the spearheading force when it comes to Israel and talking about anti-Semitism and things like that. So if you want to get your pro-Israel news and like talking about all kinds of different ways that there can be anti-Semitism, you definitely want to go to the Daily Wire. And you know, kudos to them. They made it very clear, like what their platform is about. No anger about that at all. It's good for honesty and transparency, right? But in this particular backstage, you know, they come again to this discussion of, you know, anti-Semitism, and well, there's somebody who doesn't quite agree, and well, let's take a look.
The Germans, the Aryan blood is running in our veins. It's all the fault of the Jew who sold us Christianity. And that's why the thing survives as long as it does. And it is worse than other forms.
And I'm obviously not talking about Andrew Klavan, who's really going out of his way to reach and say that somehow Christianity is the original source of but because the Jews gave them Christianity. I don't understand that. Like, maybe somebody can make that make sense for me, but I really don't understand why people say that about Christianity. And it just feels like a hardcore form of reaching. Obviously, we're not going to say that there weren't issues in Germany. For sure there were, but this just feels weird, that roundabout that he just did.
Forms of bigotry, because it's a bigotry against God. It is bigotry against God.
You know,
and just one other thing I have to say is that, as far as I'm concerned, the Jews aren't powerful enough. My biggest problem with the Elders of Zion thing is that it's a forgery. I don't understand. Where are the Jews? Why do they make things run better?
Well, I mean, you did use our space laser on Raisi's helicopter.
On the
That was
one,
good.
but you
I
missed the other two.
that.
Right.
Intentionally.
Well, we aren't like, we don't hit every time.
I will say, I take.
Now, when that voice came from the corner, you see Ben Shapiro gets a little perturbed. I mean, I might be wrong. You guys go ahead and tell me if that's what you see. By the way, if you guys like these videos, please don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit subscribe and the notification bell. It really does help. But I just didn't understand that little tweet there. It's like a little, like, I don't know. It seems, let's just see. I'm going to replay it again.
On Raisi's helicopter.
On the
That was
one,
good.
but you
I
missed the other two.
appreciate that.
Right.
Intentionally.
Well, we aren't like, we don't hit every time.
I will say, I take a more limited and simpler view of anti-Semitism, in that I would classify it like any other bigotry, racism.
Now, before he goes into it, and you can already tell that Matt Walsh is already feeling pressure. Once he started speaking, Ben's face dropped immediately. He knows that there's going to be a dissenting view to what he's saying, and it is going to come from Matt Walsh. Before the departure of Candace Owens, when you would have watched these backstages, Matt Walsh was a tad bit more looser. He would talk more, especially with, you know, the last one that I saw with Candace Owens. And they both were kind of like, I don't want to say same-siding everything, but I think he felt like he had a voice with him in just having an America first kind of position on things. Michael Knowles is not going to do that, because Michael Knowles understands that he cannot lose his position at the Daily Wire, because he can't really frontline his own platform. I mean, anybody really can if you believe in yourself, but he obviously doesn't believe in himself enough. So Matt Walsh has been tense this whole time, but he's going to try to get to a point, and it's his right to talk, right?
Of course, racism is a big one. If you're an anti-black racist, it's because you hate black people. You think that black people are inferior in some way. And if that's what you think about black people, then you're racist. Now, you might not hate black people, but have other views about black people, some stereotypical views even. And some of those views might even be like insulting, but it doesn't automatically make you a racist.
That's true.
Or the example I give is like, let's say Asians. You might not hate Asians. However, you might subscribe to the stereotype that Asians are bad drivers. Now, are they actually bad drivers? I don't know. They're probably not any worse than anybody else. But if you believe that, you just happen to believe it, doesn't mean that you're racist or ethnocentric against Asians. And so I would say that anti-Semitism is a hatred of Jews.
Okay, the reason I'm going to make a distinction here, no one ever.
I mean, my God, he couldn't even let him finish the sentence. He had to go from black all the way to China, to come back to America, and hopefully could get the anti-S word out his mouth, and it barely even gets to the point of saying what he's trying to say, and Ben shuts him up. And Ben is known for doing that when it comes to this discussion and Israel. Let me be the advocate for Ben Shapiro. He has every right to be this way. In fact, I would actually say that I like seeing that he's like this. Like, this is actually inspiring to me. I find it very, I find it almost motivational, if you will, because the way I look at it, the way Ben reacts when somebody even thinks about bringing up Israel in the wrong light, or thinks about saying something that about his people that may not align with what they decided for themselves, he's already ready to shut it down. He's shutting it down, right? And why should I be mad at him for that? As Americans, we should be like that, right? We should be a little bit more like that. We should definitely we can't say that we wouldn't listen to a dissenting view, but we should be more proud to be American. Yeah. Obviously, with the type of things that are going on in our media and everything, and the way how they keep us divided, how can we be proud? But how can I be mad at somebody for having full pride of their nation and of their heritage? However, my only issue is you are here in America. And so the thing about that pride is, and watch this point that I'm about to make is actually in some places against the law, okay? And in some people's mind, a form of, I guess, hate. My thing is this: you can have that pride, but how far does it go? Because you live here. So living here and having that pride for over there, which is fine. Do you put Israel first? And you've already given us enough patterns to say that you do. But unfortunately, they say, if you notice that is anti-S, so then it puts you in a block. And I know that it's not right. It's not right to put people in that kind of a block where they can't have their thoughts organically. But I'm not mad at him for being who he is. No. And if Americans accept anti-Semitism laws to be written and nobody is up in arms about this, what can I do? What can I do?
Ever says, I hate blacks because they're too powerful. That's generally not a thing. For literally hundreds of years, blacks were hated when they were slaves and not powerful. When it comes
they're viewed as less than.
Right. When it comes to Jews, the reason that anti-Semitism has so often resulted in anti-Jewish pogroms and violence, and this is going back centuries, I mean, there's nothing new. The reason is because when you perceive a group as unjustifiably powerful, typically that means that you're going to drag them in the streets and kill them.
Nope. So since he has something to say about black people, I'm just going to go a little further. If anybody is blaming a group for their own personal problems, then they need to go get checked out, because you need to have your own accountability. Your life isn't working out because of you, not because of the Jew or the black person. Okay. But if to say, number one, when it comes to the whole story about slavery, I don't believe in most of it, like a good 80% of it anymore. And that's happened to me in the past few months. It's actually very, very liberating. It is. Because I know that a lot of things that were told to us are not true. So I'm not saying that they weren't slaves, but there's just a lot of things that there's a struggle that's been given to black people to make them always stay in that box. And I refuse to sign on to it. However, I don't think that Americans who are calling out the dual loyalty from of a nation and this nation is considered some sort of problem, and nobody's going to drag anybody out into the okay, nobody's doing that in 2024. But again, Americans don't have any issues with this, because like I said, the anti-Semitism laws that have been written are still there. So why should I be mad about him saying what he's saying? And there's anti-Semitism laws that are written. So I mean, hey. And Matt Walsh tries to make another point, and then guess what?
He's on board now.
Isn't that is that really different in kind from what?
I want you to know that Michael Knowles is like, I don't know why you keep doing this to yourself. Like, there you go again, be a good student. Jeremy Boring is like, I don't understand what it's going to take, but okay. But like, you could tell by the body language of these people where it's like, he's talking again. I mean, shout out to Matt though. Shout out. And Matt did talk about those laws on his channel.
People who are bigoted against a group always do to the group. Now, you're right that with Jews or with Catholics in this example, they're accused of being too powerful. But what's really happening there is that they're being blamed for whatever happens to be going wrong in society. And I would argue that when people are bigoted against the group, they tend to find a way to blame that group in some way for the problems in society.
So that's an
now,
By the way,
that's a better definition of racism than what you were giving before. I don't like the definition of racism, which is just, I hate people.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is that if you're racist, legitimately racist against someone, this is what tends to happen next. It's what happens after the racism. Because you hate them, now you want to blame them for stuff. But that's the blaming for stuff is not what the racism.
Again, don't even worry about it, Matt. All right, they don't want to know your reasoning or all of that. What you're doing. Michael Knowles is still positioning himself here, looking like he's just taking pictures. He's like, I want no parts of it. And Matt is still trying to get the little pushback. If Candace Owens was there, this would have been a fire episode for sure. She is not there, obviously, because we know she was fired and silenced. So it is what it is, Matt. You do work at, look, am I the one who said it? Patrick Bet-David did say it, right? The Daily Jewish Wire. And that's fine, right? It's just that the Daily Wire put themselves out there like, we're going to fight for your freedom of speech in America and American values. And in the last 7 months, they've showed to be, kind of flip-floppy on that. But they still have their empire, and that's good. I don't want to see anything go down. And, we'll just keep watching Matt trying to hold it down for America.